pretty simple. You want to win races. Put KMCs on your truck.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. The first 2 cars heading on the line right now. Now we have a Farner coming to the finish line.
Stacy Clark here, owner and general manager of Unlimited RV. As racers, we know how important time is. Not bad, kid. 5 seconds faster. As racers, we know how important reliability is. At Unlimited RV, we have lifetime warranty, so you know we've got you covered. At Unlimited RV, we offer nationwide free shipping, so you don't have to waste your time getting into the RV or motorhome for your next big adventure.
Sure, everything's made of something. But time and sweat is what puts it together. And it's that relentless application of effort against the clock that created everything around us. The BFGoodrich HD terrain tire is engineered to tackle the extreme situations heavy-duty trucks are met with head-on. Because downtime can't exist when there's a job to do. Time isn't something to marvel at. It's something to be seized. It's a tool we put firmly in your hands. BFGoodrich, what are you building for?
Hello, everybody in Fishgistics world.
We are live.
We're live. Can you believe that? I love it. So stoked to see all the commercials come to an end, and then boom, Cameron, along with my good buddy. I don't know how you guys see it on your screen, but he's over there on my screen. This is Fish, the owner of Fishgistics, also known as Austin, and this is the BFGoodrich Baja 1000 recap show for 2023. Can you believe? I can't even believe it's 2023 more than anything else, but
I know.
Well, the thing I can't believe the most is that we DNF this Baja 1000. That sucks. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but
You cost me $100, by the way, too, Cameron. I had $100 bet on you, so I'm going to take that out of your pay today.
Okay, you do that. Remember, for every share you guys do, that's $20 that Fish has to pay me. So share. Let everybody know we're talking Baja 1000 today. Austin, how was your Baja 1000? I know you went big. You went longer than a lot of the drivers did.
Yeah, it was fun. It was 24 hours. I did 24 hours straight, and then I stayed up for another like 10. I think I was up 37 hours total in a row with 0 minutes of nap. So there was some drivers out there that I know that went farther than that. But yeah, it was a long one. Baja 1000 is always super exciting. So people are like, how do you stay up? I'm like, honestly, I couldn't even go to sleep because there's so much going on that like your mind is just going the whole time. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I tried. So yeah, it was a fun race, like always.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took some sleep time in Loretto, waiting to drive home the next day so we wouldn't be caught up in all the chase traffic. But a beautiful race course, a beautiful race laid out by Score International. Super impressed with what Jose G, Juan Tintos, Roger, Elise, everybody involved in Score. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on Jose G's person that helps him with the courses. I don't know why, but really cool. I know that BFGoodrich and Jackson Motorsports involved as well, but I was impressed with the course when it came out. I'm still impressed today. It was a very tough race course. I'm definitely impressed with all the chase drivers and everybody coming home safe. Amen. We all pray for that. We pray for that. And, I haven't heard of anything incredibly drastic happening. I know there was a big injury in motorcycles. I The good news is that Cade has woken up. We don't have a direct update, but that information we did glean from online. But Fish, overall, I mean, there was a heated battle at the end of the trophy truck, some good racing along the way. And we're going to talk to the trophy truck guys later, but overall, fun race to watch.
Yeah, super fun race to watch. It was good. There was, like you said, there wasn't any major accidents besides obviously the 7X had the one, big crash. But other than that, anytime you can go from La Paz to Ensenada with no major incidents on the highway specifically is huge. And it's awesome that everybody in the chase trucks did such a good job being smart. People didn't fall asleep. They read, maybe they read the What About You and they actually listened. So
maybe they watched some of our shows that we talked about all this stuff. Maybe Bauer resonated with them. Maybe they're listening to some of the veterans and getting information. I think it's the more information we can get out there, the better for our sport. That's why I'm here to do it. And before we get any further, it's all opinion based. This is my disclaimer. I might say something that's not actually accurate. The same thing happens on television, happens on the podium. I was telling the truth at the press conference when I said I was going to wear yellow underwear, but I was not telling the truth when I said Ryan Arciero was going to drive the first 1,200 miles. So I'm a chronic liar. I want you guys to know it's not on purpose. Facts we try to give them, but it's opinion based, right, Austin?
You're right. Let's stick with our opinions and hope that they're correct. And we have a bunch of racers who have opinions too. Let's hear from some of them.
No way. Racers with opinions. Before we get this started, we're going to kick off. We're going to start bringing them in right now. UTVs and bikes. The end of the show is going to have the Tres Toros, the Bulls, the guys that put this thing together for the overall. Bryce, Menzies, Tavo, Vildosola, and Andy McMillin will be joining us a little bit later in the show. So stick around. Remember to share. I see Cayden Matt coming in. Who else do I see coming in? Can you hear me?
We got Ben Swift there.
Yeah, Ben.
And then we got, Matt Burroughs should be joining. We got the bike guys joining, I think, in a second here.
Matt Burroughs. I see Matt. So we're getting together first segment here. If I didn't introduce myself, by the way, my name is Cameron Steele. I'm the driver of the number 16 Monster Energy BFGoodrich FIDAC Score Trophy Truck. This particular time, a DNFer. But I'm here to host the show with my good buddy Fish, and stoked to start it off with some UTVs and bikes. First of all, Juan Salvatierra. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you got that pretty right.
Pretty right?
Pretty right.
He's going to give me credit for it. Hey, I wanted to say badass job. Congratulations. What a amazing race you guys put together. I know you guys have been having some great success, but very well done.
Thank you, Cameron. Yeah, it was a very difficult race for sure. I mean, the longest Baja, I think, in history, and of course we had some obstacles to overcome, but we made it happen.
For sure. And I mean, I think that's the life of a Baja 1000 racer, right? You have to overcome all the obstacles. You got to try to plan the best you can, and it doesn't always exactly go your way. And, you kind of got to take what Baja throws at you.
Exactly. And that's what happened. Before the race, we had some curved balls thrown at us that we weren't counting on. And we had some riders get injured. And then we, had to adjust all the race strategy and the sections that each guy was going to do. And we had to deal with that,
I don't know. I don't think you guys have been on the show before. I could be wrong, but can you tell us where you're from and your experience that you have in the sport so everybody can learn a little bit more about you?
Okay. I'm from Bolivia. I live and work in Bolivia. I've been racing in Baja. I started in my first ever race, Baja 500 in 2020, right after COVID. That was my first time ever riding in the Mexican desert. Before that, I've been racing Dakar Rally from 2011 to 2019. I did 8 Dakars on bikes, and I got a top 10 overall in 2017. Then did World Rally Series, FIM Cross Country Championship. Did Fairruns Rally in 2014, won that one. And
so let me just quote it here. You're a certified badass. Thank you for joining us here today. Congratulations on winning. For those listening in that don't know where Bolivia is. It's not a state in Mexico. Can you explain to them where it is?
Yes, Bolivia is like right in the heart of South America in the middle. We're surrounded by Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Peru. We're landlocked. We don't have an ocean. So I really enjoy when we're out next to the ocean in Baja, Ensenada, and La Paz, and all those
Are you
places.
one of the countries that has like a little tiny touch into the Iguazu Falls area?
No.
That's on the other side.
Yeah, that's Paraguay. Paraguay has a border with Iguazu Falls and Brazil.
I
And
have been
Paraguay
to
has,
Iguazu Falls with the X Games, so that's the extent of my knowledge of South America, really.
yeah, a lot of people might know Bolivia from the Uyuni salt flats. It's the biggest salt flats in the world. And I mean, there's always like beautiful pictures on Instagram and all that, showing the stars. And we get a lot of tourism for that here.
Don't tell anybody in Guerrero Negro that, okay? Because I think that Baja thinks they have the biggest salt flats in the world. Just saying. Justin Lambert, good to see you come popping in there. We can see your face now. I want to jump over real quick and I'll talk to Matt Burroughs and check in with you, buddy. Good to see you. How's things going?
Things are going good. We're, living the aftermath of Baja. We still haven't unpacked chase trucks yet, so we got a lot of work to do.
I don't mind the unpacking the chase trucks. It's the writing the checks and getting everybody paid that's the hard part sometimes. That's all I got to say. I see everybody smiling and laughing because, yeah, everybody knows that part sucks, except for Cayden, right? Now, Cayden's a factory UTV racer, Cayden, right? So you don't have to write the checks. You get paid to come win this thing, right?
I've dealt my fair share of writing checks, and yeah, I guess I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, it's awesome to be part of the team that a lot of that stuff's taken off my shoulders, and we're kind of just focused on winning the races. There's other stuff. It's not all just glitz and glamour, but most of the really difficult stuff's handled for us, which makes it a lot easier to win, which I think we've kind of showed this year.
So am I correct? Now remember, I'm a trophy truck guy, so I just really don't care about you UTV guys at all. I'm just saying out loud. I do love the bikes, though. I wanted to say that. But Cayden, you won, correct? And Justin, were you second?
Correct.
And Matt Burroughs third.
No, we were second in Pro Turbo.
All right. I'm paying attention here. Just making sure that we're all on the same game page here. I'm just kidding. I love UTVs. I'm just making a joke. I have a Can-Am and I race it myself. You guys don't have to be so sensitive out there, okay? And also, we got to introduce Ben. Ben, what's up, man? We haven't had you on the show. I see a Baja bug behind you in pictures. Dude, are you a buggy dork for life like me?
Yeah, Cameron, we bonded. You handed me my championship trophy in 2018. That's the old car, the original unicorn before Robbie built one. And this year I drove for Mike Belk in the 512, 5 Unlimited. And just like I'm kind of the redheaded stepchild in this call and defending class 5 and waving the flag. Yeah, we're whiners. We whine to get moved up in the starting order, but we passed a lot of cars, and even if Robbie Hendrickson says no, I think we're all good drivers too.
You got a shout out on Robbie Hendrickson. You got to love that. For those of you guys who don't know, Robbie Hendrickson helps fish. He's a hell of a 1600 car driver. There is no car faster than a 1600 car per Robbie. And I did want to tell you guys, while we're talking about Robbie Hendrickson, he did text me one day and said, stop driving the trophy truck like a puss. Drive it like a 1600 car. That's why you have the 16 number on it anyway. So that's my Robbie Hendrickson story. I was partners with his dad for a good decade or so. But we're stoked to have the Beam guys represented, Beam front ends. These guys in the UTVs, I don't think they know anything about the Beam. Well, I know Cayden does. Cayden knows about 1600 cars, but I'm not sure. Do you ever drive the 1600 car, Cayden?
I growing up, 5 or 6 years old, I sat in the single seat Alumacraft my dad had that won a lot of races, but I don't think he ever let me push a starter on that thing.
Dang. He lets you drive the trophy truck now, so I think anything's game at this point. Justin, you haven't got to speak yet, buddy. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. Congratulations on the success. How'd your race go?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the invite. Overall race went pretty well, and I kind of remember talking to Mark Burnett before the race, and he said, nobody goes through this race without having a problem. Nobody. I don't care who you are. And we were almost there, led most of the race, and gave up a little bit in a log jam at like race mile 9:43, somewhere around there, and then a broken axle. But all in all, gave it up to Cayden. We took second. He took first. Congrats to him. But all in all, it was a great race. I mean, not a single flat tire, chase truck, trailer, race car, pre-runner, nothing. So it was pretty good.
Hey, man, that sounds like a great way to go racing. And Cayden, it sounds like you put on a pretty big charge towards the end of the race. If I'm not mistaken, your guys' team was pushing pretty hard. Who all was driving with you, Cayden?
So I did the start, and then I kind of just was super conservative, honestly pretty slow, and just didn't have any fun moments or anything. Kind of just took the car to Justin Morgan, who I'm sure you know, Cam, is kind of a badass on a bike down in Baja. And he did from San Ignacio to 970 just south of Portositas there. And then another guy you might know who I think you've let drive some of your stuff is Reid McMillin. He did the end, and, Justin kind of handled business, and Reid kind of just cruised it into the, the wise old veteran just kind of cruised into the Ensenada, kind of managed the lead to Justin, and also Hager's car. Both kind of were trying to, charge toward us, but we started behind those guys. So we figured they had a path us to win. So Reese did a great job, just, kind of cruising that thing in to Ensenada.
Yeah. And just, looking at the results here, I think you guys might have been, besides the trophy truck, you might have been the second closest class between first and second place. It looks like there was only 7 minutes between you guys at the finish line. So, I mean, that's pretty close for a 1,300-mile race to be within 7 minutes at the finish line. That's real close.
Yeah, super close. Less a bottleneck and or a log jam and an axle. I think we could have got you, King, but hey, it was a great race. It was a great race.
Always could have, should have, right? Only. Matt, go ahead.
We can try again at San Felipe.
You're on. It's on.
Oh boy, it never stops. It's a never-ending circle of chaos. Hey Matt, so how was your race?
Our race was good as well. I think of every race, you look back, woulda, shoulda, could have done this, could have done that a little different. We three of us, it was Blurton, the Murrays, and ourselves. We kind of checked out on the rest of the group when we were all running together. And then coming into Bay of LA, about 100 miles into Bay of LA, we had some fuel filter issues. Don't know what that was, but we kept clogging fuel filters, so that set us back a bit. And then
didn't have anything to do with the silt, right?
I possibly. Right. But we kind of got that squared away, but they were, we charged hard the rest of the day. We just couldn't quite get back that time we lost. But other than that, no issues for us. We changed 2 front axles. We burned them up on the highway. But other than that, just kept pushing.
Right on. So Juan, I got to ask, how many of riders on your team, and who runs the logistics for it? Do you organize the logistics, or do you have some people behind the scenes?
Yeah, it was originally 6 riders in our team to start this race. Like I said earlier, during pre-running, Justin Carnes had a brake crash and hurt himself, and he was out. I also had a big crash that I haven't had a big crash like that in a long time, and hurt my leg. I thought it was just like a regular injury. I was limping. And couldn't ride at my 100%. So I cut my original race plan was to do like 150 miles. So I just started the bike this time because I couldn't do it. And when I got home here to Bolivia, like 2 weeks after the race, I got an x-ray. So I have a broken leg, a broken fibula that I need to heal up. And yeah, so it ended up being mostly Shane Logan took a lot of the section that Justin couldn't do. Diego Llanos from Argentina, another rider, also took a section from the other rider that got sick the night before. So we started 6.
No tacos the night before the race, if you didn't know that already.
We were originally 6 riders, then 2 got injured. So 4 were going to do the race. And the night before, our 4th rider, Corbin McPherson, he gets really sick, had IVs and throwing up and fevers. So he ended up doing like half of his original section. So Shane Logan and Diego Llanos really stepped it up, to cover the miles of the other guys. And then our new rider in the team was Carter Klein. And he did also a fantastic job. And at the last part of the race in San Felipe, he was flying, man.
Awesome. That's great to hear about all the other riders. Sorry, I almost said drivers. Since you have such a wealth of experience with World Rally and Dakar, can you give us the 1 minute, a short Cliff Note version comparing Baja 1000 and Dakar Rally?
Baja is a lot more intense, man. I mean, technically, the terrain, it's way more brutal. Dakar, I think you've done Dakar, right? Or been there at least?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
It's a lot of fire roads and like flat out, terrain, either dunes or whatever, but there's no like big whoops like Baja. And then since you have like 10 days, 12 days, whatever, it's one stage at a time. So you're a little bit more relaxed in that aspect. I mean, if you have problems, the next day you can make up and so forth. And Baja, it's just intense. I mean, I did Peninsula run in 2021 in the Ironman class. And for me, that was mentally a little easier than doing it now in the Pro Unlimited class, because I was pretty much doing all the planning and logistics, of course, with the help of my team, but mentally it was draining for sure.
That might be the Ironman that's on here. Is that Edgar down there that doesn't have his camera on? Let's see. Edgar, is that you? Maybe
on and off.
Yes, it's me.
There we go. All right, we have an Ironman class winner, Edgar Cota, if I said that right, the last name. He won by hours over everybody. How the heck did you beat everybody by so much, Edgar?
Thank you. I don't know. I mean, I think it was just all part of the training. I never stopped pushing. I knew there was a finish line at some point of the race, so we didn't pretty much stop to take bigger breaks other than what we needed. And we decided to take the long break after we got to the finish line. So that was the main strategy.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I watched you finish live. And it looked like you were so fresh and your jersey looked so clean. I don't know if you had a jacket on over it, but it was like, dude, this guy just Ironman the Baja 1000. He's not even as dirty as I am when I get out of a segment in the trophy truck.
No, I did have a gear swap right before the second night. And then, I mean, I think part of staying mentally concentrated is you have to keep cleaning yourself up. The more dirt you got on your face and kind of the more problems you can run into from like just being discomfort in a sense. So more things can play on your head. So yeah, every time I had a pit stop, I took the time to wipe myself off and then start from zero.
Gotcha. That's a good strategy. I don't know if you should be telling everybody. I got to ask you a question. Did you brush your teeth during the race?
Yes, I did. I brushed them once. It was right before heading out to Bay of LA.
Oh, that's pretty epic. You probably can't see everybody when you're talking, but everybody else on the screen smiled when you said you brushed your teeth. That's pretty cool. Just so you guys know, whenever
is that a bike thing? Is that like a bike guy thing or what, Cameron?
I always brush my teeth too during the race. If I get out and get back in or whatever, it just makes me feel way more fresh. And so I do that. I brush my teeth. Plus, I don't want to breathe any dragon breath on anybody along the way. But yeah, I like brushing my teeth. It makes me feel peppy. But I agree, man. When you're riding long distances and you are feeling dirty and your gear is dirty and you're just like, it's like it all builds to it. So. I actually brought a second driving suit to change into because our strategy had me getting back in the car. I'm not sure I would have changed it, but I did bring a second one. Man, I love all the little stories. Ben, come on, give us something. What do you got? Beam front end. What's next? What was your okay? This is what I want to know. How was the silt and the 5 cars after all the trophy trucks, all the bikes, all the 1 cars, all the spec trucks went through? How was the silt?
Those little Ecotech 4-cylinder engines and the smooth skid plate really covers up for maybe some lack of confidence because you just bury it in first gear and truck. And I don't know if you guys saw Eli Yee's video on socials, but it's a good example. Just pedal it, pray. When it goes dark, like everyone knows, just hold your foot in it. And those you just surf through it with the belly pan. And as long as you feel a little bit of movement, you're good. Burn some lines, and Mike Belk did that section and just dominated. I mean, I got out in Loretto, and you kind of hold your breath for that 15, 20 minutes as you know he's going through there. And all of a sudden you hear, oh, we're at 345, all good. And it's like tears of joy, not knowing you still have 1,000 miles to go. But you have lots of small victories throughout the race.
Was LJ Kennedy on your team also?
Yeah, he drove the last leg, and he's everyone's favorite buggy driver, I think, other than you, obviously.
How about this? I might be LJ's favorite buggy driver, and he's probably my favorite buggy driver. So there's some give and take there.
Well, hold on. I heard a funny story about you guys though, because earlier you mentioned this. You guys were crying that you were starting behind a bunch of classes early, right? So then Score ended up moving you guys up where you wanted to be, right? But then what happened at the start? Because you guys didn't start there.
We strategically took a rear start, but we didn't plan on a strategic rear start. We had some electronic issues, and legitimately, as our group was taking the podium, we just lost all ignition. So we had the hood off. You know, we were those guys. Every time you drive by those guys, we were those guys this time. And somehow we found loose wires and plugs that were overstrained. We fired the thing up, and they wanted us to start behind the stock fulls. My co-dog Corey Anderson said, F that, let's just bottleneck in and see how far they'll take us. And we actually only started behind the class we rallied to get in front of, and then in front of the 1600s. And so I was thinking, well, no pressure. We're in front of Robbie Hendrickson's boys and all the UTVs that we got boosted in front of. And I passed all of them by pit 1. So it was a little added strain, and we weren't sure how Score was going to handle us starting late, if they were going to give us a time penalty or our clock was live. But once we took the lead around Catavenia, we just didn't look back. And so luckily it didn't come down to clipboards and stopwatches at the end.
I think that I don't know if it's still the official rule, but it used to be that you would lose your start position, go to the back of your class, and if you couldn't start by the back of your class, you would start in back of the class you came up to the start line while they were starting. So, well, good job, way to persevere. We're going to wrap it up here pretty quick, guys. Sorry, I know we've been getting a little bit of a sketchy feedback there from Edgar, but we just want to say a lot of respect to you, Edgar, for your solo, your Ironman, your win. That's the stuff of legends right there, bud.
No, thank you, dude. Thank you. I appreciate it, especially coming from you. You know, big old Baja legend out here. Yeah, we're just kid chasing the dream. So this was the first part of the dream. Now, next step is road to Dakar. So should be fun.
Wow, road to Dakar. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I got news for you guys. I've been around a while, but I'm still just a big kid. That's how I look at it. I'm just another teenager, like some of you guys feel on the inside. That's what Baja brings out of us. Fish, what do you think? Closing thoughts on this class?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's cool to see the the UTVs, how fast they're getting now. I mean, Cayden, how are you guys how hard are you driving that car? Like Cayden and Justin, are you driving just 100% the whole time like the top trophy truck guys are, or what percent are you driving most of the time, do you think?
For me, I don't know. I'm kind of just cruising, and the car's so easy to drive. A lot of people make fun of that you're going fast without really trying very hard, probably. I was thinking, and I hate people that, we should, well, if we did this or whatever, but I feel like if we drove to the potential of the car the whole way, we'd be pretty high, further in the order. But that wasn't the goal. Obviously the goal was to win the race. But they as they progressed and stuff, they're just getting better and better. And it's probably the class, one of the classes with the most progression over the years. So stoked to be a part of it. I've had my fair share of trophy truck racing and stuff, and that's super stressful, just always trying to go not as fast as you can go, but the pace is pretty crazy in those classes. And the UTVs is a lot more strategy and trying to be smart. So it's cool to be a part of the class, but I don't think we're pushing crazy hard. There's a lot of room for development there for sure.
Yeah. Props to Cayden, because I feel like I'm pushing pretty hard. I got a lot more years on him, but I feel like the pace in the UTV open class is pretty wild. Myself, I think I'm one of the only one that's running a 4-seat Pro R. So I got a bigger car, and I think it's probably a little bit easier to drive just because it's got that longer wheelbase and the car likes to go straight coming out of corners and whatnot. But we're running it hard, and honestly, I don't know if I want to go a whole lot faster. I just haven't I've never been in a trophy truck or anything faster than this in the dirt. And I'm not really ready to go much faster. I mean, we're going pretty fast as it is, but you know, Cayden's driving a factory player's car, and those are lightweight cars and made to go quick. And my car is heavier, bigger fuel cell, made to go longer, handles the bumps probably a little better than their 2-seaters, but I don't quite have the top speed they do because I'm so much heavier. All in all, though, I'm having a good time. I was ready to move up. We are going pretty fast. I'm a little afraid to get in front of these 10-car guys because some of them are very impatient. We've been taken out by some 10 cars before. So all in all, having a great time, though, in the Players Razor.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys did. I was just looking at the results. You beat Cayden did. You beat the 10 cars by 2 minutes. So pretty close there, but you can't say that you beat them. It's always the big rivalry, right? As a UTV or a 10 car faster. And it was, I mean, they're pretty close now, but you got them this race.
Yeah. I don't want to start in front of the 10 cars. You know, I'd rather pass them than be in front of them. And then, you know, the tail end of our class or some of the UTVs is obviously a lot slower than the front end. And that's kind of what it is. The evolution of the speed or the pace of the class probably has doubled in the 2 years that I've been in it. When I first started racing the UTVs, it was, you know, kind of just a cruise fest. And now we are going quite a bit faster than we were, say, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Fish and Cameron, as you guys know, for us Can-Am guys, for next year, game changer is no more belt. So looking forward to the new car with no belt. We think that's really gonna up the pace as well.
For sure. That sequential gearbox sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, it should be really good.
Quick question: how many belts did you guys break, or no belt breaking?
Yeah, I think it's probably not much of an issue on the Pro R, at least, right? Yeah. I know those guys don't really, you know, they don't really have an issue anymore, huh?
No.
There's a lot of good management going on, so we'll see how it changes. I'm going to wrap it up, you guys. We got to get going. I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us for the segment. Congratulations on your wins and your podiums. You guys are the leaders in our sport. Go out and carry yourselves as such. Try to help others out. Smile, tell your story, enjoy yourself. And, you know, all of you, overall UTV winner, overall bike winner, both being here is definitely a status for us here at Fishgistics. Thank you guys for making the time to be here and share it with the fans.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to shift gears. And we're going to get to our next group. Like I said, later on in the show, we're going to have Bryce Menzies, Gustavo Vildosola, Tavo, and Andy McMillin. They will close the show today. Right now, I think we're going to go with some buggy dorks and some truck dorks all together, which should be pretty interesting because, you know, they don't normally get along, so to speak. I mean, there's a lot of crap talking that goes on between these couple classes. And I'm gonna kick it off. Can everybody hear me? Put your hand up if you can hear me. Hey,
all good.
All good. I love it. This is our class 1 and our trophy truck spec. And just out of curiosity, Fish, which class 1 out of these two for the 1,000?
Well, the class 1 winning time was 26:14 of Kyle Quinn there. And then the trophy truck spec was 25:33. So the trophy truck specs got him by 45 minutes.
All right, then we're going to start with the trophy truck specs. Riley, congratulations on a job well done. Herbst Motorsports putting it on top of the box. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I don't really get to play with you guys in the desert that much. So whenever I do, I get to cherish it. And this year was extra special, taking the old man out of retirement and got him to drive with me and Jordan, which was cool. So to be able to win was really neat. 1,300 miles was a bit long for me, I must say. But other than that, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, your dad is Troy. He has been racing for a number of years, but many herald him as one of the very greatest drivers in our sport. And for me, it was such a treat. I only got to say hi to him in passing, but to see him out racing again was awesome. The dude freaking rips.
Yeah, he did a good job. He think we started deep, which helped us towards the top end, towards the finish. But we started in the 20s, I think, and he drove it up to fourth, and then he actually buried it to the hubs at check one, which I gave him a hard time about. And then he fell back to about 15th, and then he gave me the truck in fourth. So he went forward to back to forward. So he had a really good run, and I was able to give it to Jordan first. And actually second, my little cousin Pierce, but first on time, and Jordan took it into the finish.
That's cool. Jordan Dean, Pat Dean's son.
Yep. So it was a cool family affair with both families. And, I think we had 5 trucks down there, so we had a carriage for sure.
I got to tell you, got to be honest with you, Riley. I wasn't very happy with your uncles and your dad when they pickpocketed my Las Vegas ace from our team when you guys took Pat Dean from us. So I just wanted to say that even though we're monster teammates, there's a little bit of rivalry there just because of that. I just want to throw that out there for you.
Well, I'm sorry. You can take that up with my dad.
But we got Ryan Arciero, so we're pretty happy, you know?
Yeah, we traded you out, Ryan. So when my dad retired,
it was like a straight trade back and forth.
Pat. Yep.
Let's get our second place in Spec. Travis, how's it going, buddy? Travis Williams is here. How's the race, bud?
Yeah, no, so yeah, our race went it's start. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
The world hears you.
Yeah, great.
Fishgistics, man. Shout it loud.
I told Fish that I'd wear our ponchos today that we all had at the finish line, so I had to wear that today to rep the team because it was a big hit down there. But no, we brought CJ Hutchins on and Derek Bradley. They started down south and like you said, a little buggy dork, but he did phenomenal. He did really good. Had some good lines. We started 13th, and he got the truck to Travis Chase. He got stuck 3 times. Got the air filter plugged up, so we were down for a couple hours. But other than that, he did really good. Got it to Travis Chase and Jake over in San Ignacio, and then about the only problem they had was they got a rock stuck under the gas pedal, so he had to stop and jump in head first, get that out, and then they had a little mishap up at the Fred's Tractor Trail that took a little while. Got the truck to me and Pete, and then we did the San Felipe loop, because we love that rough stuff. And we were in 5th. We at one time we were down over 2 hours, made some time up, and ended up 2nd. So we're super stoked. It's our first Baja 1,000 as a team. It's our first full year of score, and we ended up 3rd in points. So we're ecstatic. We're on cloud 9, so we're super happy. So the crew did an awesome job, and we're still happy.
The one thing that I did notice during the race was it seemed like almost all the Spec trucks had like some issue. Like so everybody got stuck or they were in a pit. Like they were jumping around quite a bit more than normal. Like I didn't see anybody on the tracker that had like a clean run almost the whole time. I don't think. Maybe Pat, did you guys have a pretty clean run? How did your run go?
Yeah. Hi, Travis. Were you running in the washes?
Yes.
That was an abusive or when you went past me, that was abusive.
How was that? I didn't touch you.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of joke that you're going too fast.
You put 18 miles on me in a heartbeat.
I love that rough stuff, man. I like to get beat up. I was like, no, I didn't touch you. I promise. We got right around you. At least there was no dust up there because of all the rain.
We got in the truck, and the only issue we had was the intercom wasn't working. So I was running what I could see and what I could remember, and y'all come up behind us, and we didn't even know y'all were back there.
Well, I like that. I like to be the stealth mode and go right around. I told Pete, I was like, well, shit, maybe they got a flat or something going on with the truck.
It was just loose nut behind the wheel.
Right on. That's a good start for the Spec crew there. We're going to shift gears real quick over to the Class 1 cars for a second, and bringing on we have the first place car. Kyle Quinn and Greg Distefano are both here. They were both drivers along with John Herder in the Wilson Motorsports car. Kyle, congratulations on the win, man. That's got to feel pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, it was real good. Makes it 2 in a row for me and 3 in a row for the team. So it's huge for us.
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, you are family with the Wilsons. You're married in there, been racing with them for quite a few years, racing the 1600 cars. Of course, your dad, the legendary Jeff Quinn. We all miss him, brother.
Yep.
But a lot of great family history between you guys and the Wilsons.
Yeah, I've been racing with them since 08 or 09 and come through the ranks 16 to 10 and class 1, and it's a great team to be a part of, and it's like family, so it's awesome.
No nicer people in the sport of off-road than Ronnie, Randy, and I guess Rick too, even though he's not quite as talkative. He's still a super nice guy. Greg Distefano, happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, so Greg and I go back like 40 some odd years, went to high school together. Greg drove our trophy truck to a top 10. He has won the money race at the Nora 1000. He's a perennial favorite there, and he's Kyle Quinn's partner. So Greg, you started the race. Did you had to do some battle down there in those silt beds, huh?
Yeah, you know, the silt wasn't too bad for us. We came in and there was we had a little alternator issue after we passed you, actually, and then we were a little down on time. We got behind the Spec truck, so when we came into the silt beds, the Spec trucks were all stuck, so we just had to drive around them all. So it was good. We passed, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them in 2 different spots, and that was pretty awesome due to some of the good pre-running with you and Scott and Munyon. So it was fun. Good times.
For sure. That was a little bit of a dig on the Spec trucks in case you're paying attention there, Riley. Just letting you know he's giving you a little bit.
My dad went right around him too. That's how he get all the track position back from San Javier Highway into Laredo, where he gave it to me. I looked on the tractor and he was 12th, and he pulled him to pits in 3rd. I said, well, I hope that one's legal.
Yeah, for sure.
It was, so it was cool.
Hey, Greg, I got to ask you. So I was parked at race mile 214. Of course, everybody's heard that story where we crapped on ourselves. But it was interesting because there's a lot of pre-running on the peninsula. And even if you're just doing the first segment, you can't always go back and see every little bit right before the race. So about race mile 74, there was a mud hole. And it looked like it was like one of those things, like the last time I saw it, I'm like, well, I think it's going to be pretty dry. We can probably power through it, but we kind of want to save the truck. And the day before, you know, I'm jacking around with Ampudia and Christopher Polvardi, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going straight through the mud hole. No, but it was interesting to me. There weren't very many muddy cars that came by us, but one that was covered in mud was your car, and you guys actually took that line and made a pass in there, right?
You know, we had, you know, talked about not doing it. We were not going to do it. We're not going to do it, but we were stuck in pretty thick dust, and we're like, there's no way these guys in front of us are going to take the mud line. Like, they're going to go around for sure. We dove off to the left, stayed left, and or went straight, and then we dove into a big old silt pocket. And next thing you know, we were right in the mud, and we knew we were going through it, but we're like, well, I think we can get these guys here. We did not get by anybody that we knew, and Parkhouse and Torres were in front of us still, and they both took it. And yeah, didn't really help us any, that's for sure. I was hosing the visor off with the drink squirter and trying to see, but it was I don't know, felt like it was worth it at the time. So
yeah, copy. I was the 4th vehicle there, 4th 4-wheel vehicle, and I could see all the tracks went to the right. I'm like, I'm not going through the mud. Everybody else went right. I'm going this way. And so, you know, it's slower, and I'm like thinking, well, that Polvardi kid's pretty young and might go for that. So, but he didn't. I don't think he didn't pass us there, but that's one of those great obstacles. I'm going to shift it down to Cody Reid for a second. Welcome to the show, Cody. You guys, I know you didn't have exactly the Baja 1000 you wanted, but for a while there, you guys were thumping up front, huh?
We had a really good run going. Thanks for having me on the show. I also bypassed the mud, played it smart in the first half of the race.
Did you just call Greg stupid? I'm just curious.
No. Not at all. Just we knew we had to pick our battles where we needed to, so we didn't want to take any unnecessary risks. That was our personal game plan. My co-rider and I, Mike Diorio. And yeah, we had a killer run going. I believe when I handed the car off to my mom at San Ignacio, we were 8th physical vehicle on the road as far as 4-wheel vehicles. She did a great job. I think she got passed by Baldy running through the night. First time she's raced in 2 years. So I got to give her credit for still being able to wheel a buggy like that. And all in all, great race. we accomplished our ultimate goal of getting the championship. Unfortunately, some slight mechanical issues botched us right there in Catavina and Fred's tractor trail, which cost us a couple of flats. And driving on a flat tire in a one car is never a fun time. So it cost us quite a bit of downtime. I think we lost all in all probably at least an hour and a half with it.
Wow. Well, I did want to say something you just said was very cool. I handed the car off to my mom. There is not a lot of people that can say that. Their mom not only races, but their mom hauls ass. A lot of respect for your mom, brother.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Same to your wife, Heidi. There's not a lot of them in the sport, but those that have done it, they know the true testament of it, and they've all been quite impressive in their own rights.
Absolutely. No, I think there's some amazing women. I love to see the ladies out there getting it done, and it seems like every once in a while we get a little bit more and more of them. And I'm glad to have your mom out there representing. You guys have been kicking ass. Congratulations on that championship. Kyle, I know it's a little tough for you too. You guys have a 2-car team, and I'm sure you're paying attention, waiting to get in the car, and you're hearing the other car has failed. That's got to be a little bit gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I got in at race mile about 9:15, so we had the Starlink and we were getting communication, but it's never fun to hear the other cars down. We're a team at the end of the day, so if one of us isn't going to win, we want the other to win. And Greg started the race, did a hell of a job just getting through the issues he had, and then he handed it off to John and Will Wright, and they powered through the night. And then we got in and took it home to the finish, and probably some of the most fun racing I've done in a long time. I think I got in the car at about 2:00 on Friday morning, and it was the most fun, hard racing I've done in a long time. So it all worked out in the end and got the win. It was the first time we had finished this year. Not the ideal year that we wanted, defending our championship from last year, but if we're going to win a race this year, the 1,000 would have been the right one. So we did that.
Yeah, winning the 1,000 cures the championship blues. I can tell you that for sure.
Mhm.
And I know you mentioned Greg did a good job. Greg, probably one of the top 5 people I would consider as driver and technically skilled on troubleshooting or working on a car. So he's definitely a great find to be partnered up with. Riley, we were talking about heartbreaks, and I know, was it your cousin's truck that failed at the end of the race, racing with you guys in the top 3?
Yeah, so I was leading at El Arco, and we had an electrical issue. The whole PDM deal shut off, so we had to fix that for 5 minutes, and Pierce got by me, and then Jordan just kind of followed Coleman into the finish, and then Coleman had a little bit of a power steering issue, and then that's how Jordan got by him for the lead. And then ultimately, when Coleman was racing right outside of Ojos, the piston went through the side of the block, so they weren't able to win the championship or finish 1-2 for everybody at Herbst Motorsports, which was a bummer, but it was still a really solid effort.
So how hard were you guys racing each other at that point? Like, you guys have both of your trucks are right there, right at the end of the Baja 1000. You both want to win, obviously, right? Like, everybody in the car wants to win. One is going for the championship. Do you think that comes into play at all? Like, does the other truck be like, oh, we'll let them go because then they get the championship, or are they just going for the win?
Well, I mean, I was kind of down there to have fun and to win the race with my dad. So when they went by me with my electrical issue, I keyed up on the radio because we're all on the same channel, Herbst too, and I was talking crap to them that we were going to catch him back, and they were laughing. So it was kind of just a really fun experience. I've never really been able to do that in my type of racing out here in Charlotte. So, but no, we were going to race clean, and whoever got to the pits first was going to get service. There was no team orders by any means, but they started 3rd on the road, and we started 25th or 22nd. So they kind of knew the time gap would have to be significant, that Coleman was going to have to put on Jordan. So we kind of had that in our back pocket, but more than anything, we wanted Thor and Pierce to win the championship and for us to finish 1-2, but ultimately we couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to you guys. And I know like Travis was doing it too, but all you guys that have the in-cars now with the Starlink are freaking awesome. Like it is so much fun to be watching this from anywhere. And we're in the car with you guys now. Like it's been a huge game changer. And I know all of your guys, all the Herbst trucks have them. You got it on the helicopter. Travis, I know you got one in the truck. It's just awesome. It's so much more fun to be able to watch. And you're watching it too, right? Like when you're in the pit waiting to get in the car, I'm sure you're watching it the whole time, right?
Yeah, I was watching.
I didn't get in until 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I was watching my dad
all
run
day
for
and
sure.
night, nervous.
Yeah, but then it was cool to see. I got back to Charlotte and everybody was like, "Wow, that was a pretty cool pass." And I was like, "Why were you up at 4 a.m.?" And they're like, "Oh, I was watching every mile with you." And I'm like, "Dude, I was trying not to go to sleep at 4 a.m. What were you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, well, it's so cool." And little did I know that bump and run was going to be for the win and for the lead. But it was cool that we were able to get it videotaped and in the middle of the night running through the dust. It's so cool because, Cameron, and all you guys know, you can't really explain that to people about how passing people in the dust is hard. But to get it on video and stuff is really neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
Definitely a great moment to see relived and be able to share that with everyone. For those that are unfamiliar, Riley, would you tell us what you do for a living?
Yeah, I compete in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Stewart-Haas Racing, which is a true honor. I love NASCAR. It's so competitive. It's so much fun. But obviously, my family roots is out here in the desert in Baja. So whenever I get the chance to go play in the desert, I jump on in every chance I get.
Yeah, conveniently Score did move their final race of the year about 15 years ago so that the NASCAR drivers like Robbie or whoever could come and race the Baja 1000 after their season had ended. And so it definitely plays into our hand being able to have you here and be a part of the race. A lot of fun to see you carrying on your family's tradition.
Yeah, it was fun. It's so cool to follow Thor and Pierce as well. They're having a ball and they're getting really, really good at this. And for a while there, I had to press really hard to run them down and to chase them back down. Whereas before, I was just having fun out there with them. But they're going to get pretty good and they're being up on me now. So it's kind of fun to watch them grow and as race car drivers and to be on the top of their class too.
And, as far as talking about people pushing each other, I did notice that this season in Score this year was some of the best Class 1 racing that I've seen in a long time. Like you guys in Class 1 were battling each other every race. Like, in the prior years, honestly, Class 1's kind of fallen off of it, right? Like there hasn't been a lot of entries. There hasn't been as much hype, excitement about it. Then this year, almost every race, it was like Wilson, Parkhouse, Reid. Like you guys were all just battling and you were so close. It actually made it fun again. So did you guys have fun racing each other? Like, was it better like that? You guys think Class 1 can kind of get a resurgence, or what do you guys think? Some of you buggy dorks.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to have competitive racing. The Reids bring competition to the table every race. Parkhouse, Gone, everyone in Class 1. I think we're all pretty evenly matched. The only thing separating us is our cars, obviously. So hopefully we can rebuild Class 1 and bring it back to what it was. But we're giving it our best shot, and hopefully it'll come around sooner than later.
Well, this would be a good time to mention bringing Class 1 back to prominence, what I'm sure warmed Mike Stapleton's heart. And I just wanted a shout out to Wilson Motorsports, the Stapleton family. We lost Mike this last week. Fixture in our sport, multi-time champion, multi-time mechanic of the year, someone who's a big part of Wilson Motorsports. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Mike and all that loved him and all that knew him in our sport, because I'm sure he would be glad to hear some Class 1 stories and hear Kyle say getting it, and Fish saying get it back to prominence. I love the Class 1 open wheel buggy dorks, and I know it was deep in Mike's heart. I tried many times to get the Wilson boys to come over to the dark side with the country clubbers, and they just weren't having it. I did get Ronnie to drive it one time, and I'm sure Stapleton told him, damn it, don't drive those things. Those things are for lazy people.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Class 1 rivalry and stuff, so Trophy Truck Spec in Class 1, they always have like a rivalry too, right? So if you ask the trophy truck spec guys, they want to start in front of class 1. If you ask the class 1 guys, they want to start in front of trophy truck spec. Trophy truck specs have consistently beat class 1 at all of the score races. Is it time to start trophy truck specs in front of the class 1s? Is there any class 1 that would say yes to that?
No,
absolutely.
How many spec trucks are actually beating us, though? You know,
and I agree. I think it almost needs to be intermingled with qualifying, because maybe the top 10 spec trucks can keep up with the class 1s, but then you have the bottom 20 that can't. So it's not fair to them to have to go through all those spec trucks. So the only way to do is intermingle it.
Go ahead, Riley.
What happens if we take class 1 and trophy truck spec and let us both start in front of trophy truck legends?
Yes. Yes.
I can get on board with that.
Okay. I just wanted to take the two sides together. I'm just an outsider here, but I know that both of us would like to start in front of the legends.
Yeah. Well, okay. So maybe it sounds like everybody would maybe be okay with mixing the qualifying results up if you have
absolutely.
Right?
Well, I think they need to mix trophy truck and class 1 like other series do, and you can even throw the specs in there. But we're starting behind the slowest 20 trophy trucks, and same issue that you guys deal with. So it just.
I think that there's a cure for this somewhere. I don't really feel like the one car should start in front of the trophy trucks because of the weight disparity, the height of the vehicles, and the way that front bumper fits right next to the window of the class 1 car. And I know some people might disagree with me. And I think that some of what Travis was saying, that, having all the slower spec trucks in front of the 1 cars, I think brings a similar type of danger with a unlimited, potentially 1,000 horsepower truck behind a 500 or car behind a 500 horsepower truck. I think somewhere out there is someone smart enough to figure out something that can change the game or the face of this. I at one point had talked about doing something called the Fast 40, where you try to qualify and you still keep within class, but you keep the fastest of the fast towards the front of the pack. I'm not really exactly sure what the answer is, but I also know there's an equal amount of danger having the trophy truck legends and some of them that are quite hobbyist level. I'm not saying they're bad drivers. I'm just saying they don't spend the time that the class 1s or the spec guys in front do, and everybody having to overtake them. I think the biggest amount of problem isn't necessarily just for those in the race car, even though it did take out our truck at the Baja 500 for whatever reason, whether it's no one's fault, it's a racing incident, but destroyed the front of our truck and our engine. I'm more concerned with the spectators on the side of the race course when you have someone trying to look around a vehicle, trying to see what's there or trying to make a pass and not knowing.
Scary as a driver.
Yeah, so it's real scary as a driver and as a team owner, and you want the spectators to be as safe as possible. If any of those spectators had ever been inside of a trophy truck or class 1 car, they wouldn't stand that freaking close, is all I got to say. But I agree with you, Kyle, and your sentiments, and I agree with Riley, and everybody has an opinion in this. And somewhere along the line, we got to find out what the safest and best way to do that is. But I agree the disparities are unfair and unsafe to have faster cars catching slower cars. That's such a great difference in pace.
I really feel that qualifying us together will help be a bit of an equalizer. Granted, some folks won't, if you have a bad qualifying run, I get it, but that should put a majority of the the faster guys all together, and they're all going to run a similar pace. I know once we made our way through the field, the gaps then were a lot harder to close in on, and we would just stay at the end of everybody's dust. So we're still able to see versus the handful of dudes I did get around, they don't bother to check their mirrors, merging back on, whether they're just not that experienced, whatever. It is a hazard, but I think if they let us all qualify together, and that would put all the quick guys out front and they can all run a similar pace. And I think that would lead to a safer race in the long run.
I don't disagree with you, Cody. And I would say that if you're going to mix them, you got to mix them in qualifying as well, because if you put the spec trucks out early when there's no giant rut, and then you put the trophy trucks out late when there is a giant rut, of course, the spec trucks that could slide that corner or carry the speed through it are going to be quicker. And I know a lot of spec guys like to say, oh, we were faster than this trophy truck or faster than that, but it's not exactly a level playing field. You know, I have some feelings about the class ones being quicker to get up to speed and easier to slow down. But at the same time, I do have to agree that Cody, you're right that, you know, getting us all together might be a safer way to do it. But someone needs to really dig in and figure out what the best answer is here. And I know Fish, we're out of time for this segment. Very quick 10-second closing thoughts for each one of you. Go, Travis.
Thank you guys for having me on the show. Super appreciate it. Like Fish said, you know, we're doing the live stream stuff. We're trying to, you know, bring more viewers to off-road racing just to help out the sport. And, you know, thanks Jeff Knupp for prepping the truck and Eric Greener for doing all our logistics for the 1,000. Again, this was our first time ever doing the 1,000 as a team. So I feel that we did pretty good. Drivers, co-drivers, everybody did awesome. So thank you.
For sure. Greg Distefano.
I just want to thank Wilson Motorsports and Randy and Mike Stapleton and just the whole Wilson family for, you know, supporting us racing with them at the Baja 1000 and just an amazing time and just good to see all our friends and just great friendships through the whole Baja Peninsula and amazing time. Just thanks everybody. It's awesome.
Happy birthday, Greg. Pat, quick closing 10 seconds.
Man, it's quite an honor. I'm just a spectator who can afford the best seat in the house, and to be on a Zoom meeting with this crowd is really an honor. It's a lifelong dream come true, even with Fish.
There's your disclaimer. well
I really enjoyed the live feed. You know, I was following the race when Cameron broke down, and my only complaint is you didn't say what happened to Cameron.
Oh, with the engine?
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thanks, Pat. Cody, quick closing.
Thanks for having me. Big congrats to you, Kyle. Hell of a run. Look forward to doing battle again next year, bud.
Right on. And we'll give Kyle the next word. We'll give Riley the last word since the specs were faster this time than the ones. Go ahead, Kyle. He hates it. He hates it.
Thanks for having me on and representing Wilson Motorsports. Thanks to Greg for being a great partner the last 2 years. Congrats to Cody and his team on the championship, and looking forward to battling back and trying to get that championship from you.
I'm going to try and hold on real tight, bud.
Thank you, Kyle. Great run. And Riley, will we see you again before next year's Baja 1000, or are you locked down on contract and you're not allowed to walk on anything but asphalt and drive on anything but asphalt?
Yeah, I'm a pavement guy until next November, unfortunately. But thank you, Fish, for all you do. I check every hour on the hour when my little cousins are racing. So everybody, congratulations on a good run, and it's always a fun time down in Baja. So thank you.
Right on, Riley. Have fun going around in circles. We'll see you next November. You guys, great. I really appreciate the Spec and the Class 1 guys. I know there's a lot of talk back and forth, but I feel like there's a lot of respect also. And I think there could be some great solutions in qualifying and racing order, just getting these heads right here together. So great job, everybody. Congratulations on your Baja 1000 podium, your win, whatever it might be, your championship. We're stoked to share this time with you here at Fishgistics.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank y'all for having us.
All right, we got one more segment, Cameron. Your buddies, your country clubbers.
The country clubbers are coming in hot. Some of the finest country clubbers our sport has ever seen. Quite a bit of talent, obviously. They're all younger than me. They're all better looking than me. And they're all more successful than me, damn it, at the race this week. So I'm feeling a little pinched, so to speak. But I'm very proud to be here and be able to host this segment with what I would consider three of the greatest our sport has ever seen. And we've seen some great ones along the way. Welcome to the show, Bryce Menzies, Andy McMillin, Tavo Vildosola. You guys did exactly what you set out to do. You broke everybody's hearts. You started off by being mean, Bryce. Andy, you were cruel to everybody in the middle. And then Tavo just kind of cruised it in. I saw him giving shakas out the window, laughing, and just having a good time is what it felt like watching you guys drive. I'll start with you, Bryce. You're the tip of the spear here as the team owner, primary driver of record, and also your first Baja 1000 win. Let me say congratulations to you, brother.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's been 12 years trying to get this win, so it wasn't easy, that's for sure. this is how I saw all 12 of them going, but finally it worked out this way. I think I had the easiest section down south, was really smooth, and we kind of just wanted to play it smart. I knew this race was going to be really long, 1,300 miles, second longest in history. So we kind of just cruised, honestly. We didn't have any flats. Oren did an awesome job calling notes. We never took the truck over 112 miles an hour. So I just knew I had to get these guys a brand new truck for them to be able to do what they do and get it to the finish line.
For sure. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. All four of us, each time we go to the racetrack, we have to believe that we're going to win, or there's no reason to be there. And I believed as much as you believed that we were going to win that race. It wasn't our day. It was our day to be parked on the side of the road. But I have to ask, Bryce, what do you glean from all of those years of making those attempts? I'll flash back. I think it was it 22 or 21 when we did the Peninsula run, and you guys were leading and then had a failure. I'm sure nothing more painful than that, but I'm sure there's something to be taken away every time there's a failure.
Yeah, I think it was just a learning key of what we learn every single year to make better on the truck, to make myself better as a person, our team better. I kind of take this away from what my dad's always taught me is, you're never losing, you're always learning from every event. So that's what kind of we did. And I knew one of these days it would kind of click and come together. And we love off-road racing. We love Baja. And we were not going to stop until we got this Baja 1000 win. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep coming back and enjoying Baja, enjoying the people down there and the beautiful landscape that they have, and keep on racing.
Bryce, who do you think was more excited for the win, you or your dad?
Honestly, it was really hard at the finish line to even take in all those emotions and what, over the 12 years, what we've done, how much time and effort we put into it. And it seemed like it took a while until we really got back to our hotel. And my dad kind of came over and kind of gave me a hug and actually started crying. And I don't really ever see my dad cry. So it was a pretty special moment, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life for sure.
We're gonna get back to talk about your dad in just a second, Bryce. But before we continue on, I want to shift it down to your partners here. Andy, you have five Baja 1000 wins. Well, 6 now, if I'm not mistaken. I see you were going to correct me, right? You started smirking. I could see it. You got to give me a second to get all my data out before you get ready to smack me. All right. But Andy, you're probably the most successful at Baja 1000s here in this group. It must have been pretty interesting to find yourself in this grouping with Bryce. Obviously, you've been teamed up with over the years, but then to bring Tavo in, and to Bryce's point, you guys have such a giant legacy of family wealth of knowledge between Steve and your dad, obviously, and Gus Sr., Scott, your dad. Man, that's got to be cool to have your dads to be able to reflect on it, and it's got to be fun to win 6 of them.
For sure. It's this one weirdly enough feels different than all the other ones that I've won. It's been 8 years of dry spells for me without 1,000 win. So had a lot of success in kind of the first half of my career, I guess, if you want to say. But yeah, to be able to be teamed with Bryce and then bring in Tavo, to me, with this mileage was kind of a no-brainer. Similar strategy to what you were thinking, Cameron, with me when we were talking about the 1,000 was 3 drivers. It's going to be over 1,200 miles. 3 fresh drivers to me made a lot of sense. And I kind of threw it out to Bryce, like, hey, are you open? Like, what do you think? Like, I'm just going to throw it out, because in 2014, it was a long one that year, and Rob threw it out to me when I was driving his truck, like, hey, what do you think about a 3rd driver? And I was like, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, but who the heck are you thinking? Same thing Bryce said. Well, who are you thinking? Who's on Toyo that's not racing that we could have drive with us? And in 2014, it was Jason Voss, and I was like, that's a no-brainer. And this year, Tavo was also talking to me leading up to the 1,000, and I was like, well, that could probably be a no-brainer. And then to put that kind of team together and all of our assets together, and we all kind of pitted ourselves in all of our sections, to have all that come together and work so harmoniously and perfectly, and to execute the plan and the strategy perfectly, and to have the race go relatively perfectly. That's obviously what everyone wants, but to actually make it happen and then to see it come together, it's poetry in motion. And it was just really cool to be a part of it. And I'm very thankful to these guys, for doing an awesome job on their sections and helping us win that race.
For sure. Poetry in motion, 100%. And without sounding too weird, I would say, Andy, that generally speaking, you're one of the most model quality athletes in our sport. Bryce is attractive as well as a handsome young man. But looking at the lighting on Tavo right now, that golden light and that steely gaze, Tavo, it is so cool to see you here winning this race. As you know, you're one of my favorites. We talk off and on about racing and all different things. But it's great to see you teamed up with these two knuckleheads and get the win done. It's very cool. It might be one of those once in a lifetime situations where the three of the very best in our sport get together for one common goal. It must have been a lot of fun to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. What Andy was talking about in terms of dry spells. I mean, I went 11 years, 10 years without a Baja 1000, and it hurts, man. They're not easy to win, as Bryce said. I mean, 12 years, 8 years, whatever, 11 years, and to finally get one, it feels great. And like Andy said, we just executed, we made a plan, and it feels good. I wasn't able to share it with my dad at the finish line, but when he crossed, that was a special moment as well for him. So very proud of that. I'm so happy for Bryce and his dad. I mean, that I saw, later some of those videos and some of that emotion coming through on both sides. So that's always amazing because I got to do that in 2010 and then in 2012 with my dad, and it just feels so special to go win that. I know Andy did in 2009, Andy, maybe in 2011 or so. Yep. So, I mean, those are always great. Those are always great Baja 1000 wins, and just, so proud of the guys and the team. And this was truly you imagine three different teams coming together to for one strategy. And I thought it was a great win. Everyone worked their part and we executed what we said we were going to do.
Tavo, I'm going to keep with you for 1 second. I have a question that I'm sure some other people are thinking now. When you think about brute speed and risk taking, everybody, maybe not everybody, but I will flash back to the shot of you going across, I think it's Diablo Dry Lake, going 100 plus miles an hour, hitting the dirt mound and flying like crazy. Right. Fish is like making the gesture to going this way. Now, I would herald you as one of the fastest and most willing to go fast drivers. Being at that end segment, that might have been your job, but in this case, it was more or less being a little bit more conservative until Luke started chasing you guys. Was there pressure on you on how to unfold your race without, I'm not saying that you always have to go fast, but you're known as going fast. Was it hard to temper that?
I think it was. I mean, but at the same time, I knew what my goal was, right? And that was, they don't give points for winning for more than a second or 10 seconds or a minute or 10 minutes or an hour, right? We don't get, Bryce doesn't get more points towards his championship run if we win by more time. So at the end of the day, it was just getting that truck to the finish line in first place. And that was my goal. I knew, from Bryce's team and from our team and from, everyone who was chasing us, exactly how far behind Luke was. There was a little bit of play there with the Blue M in terms of, what was going on at the beginning. Luke put a little bit of time on me. We got some of that time back because of a mistake that he made. But at the end of the day, as long as they don't give awards for winning for time, I mean, it was just about making it to the finish line in front of him. And, that was the goal. I could have pushed harder, but, who knew, right? Who knew if something could have happened to the truck? We see the 10 truck had a transmission issue late. We didn't want to be there after Bryce and Andy executing an amazing race and me be, 30, 40, 50 miles from the finish line with an issue. So I knew what my objective was. And again, we executed. And, I knew Luke was back there and he had to go to try and catch us. But as long as we had, that cushion, I was fine.
Yeah. Did you guys have any issues with the truck along the way? Any three of you guys, did you have any issues?
Before we get to that point, I feel like Tavo is severely downplaying the level of pressure that I'm sure he had on his back. Because when I got the truck, it was like a 4-minute lead, 5-minute lead over in Pudia. I gave it to Tavo with like a 14, 15-minute lead. When you get the truck at midnight and you have 400 miles to go through San Felipe, through wet Square Edge, and then I've been in that position. There's an immense amount of pressure that I always feel on myself, that I feel like the world and the blanket is being put over me as well. Like, okay, they just ran a great race, these two guys. Now I have to run a great race, or else it's going to be like, well, Tavo messed it up for everyone.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at, right? I'm trying to, like, I can feel the pressure. Tavo himself, one of the finest in the sport, and then all of a sudden the pressure of two of the, fellow best drivers hand him the gold, and he's like, "Oh, I got to do it. Got to do it."
I can only imagine having to do that, and he did such a stellar job of getting up there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Andy.
It up. Luke was closing in, and he kept a level head. He kept the truck on the road. It was wet. The sun was coming up. There's so many variables that barely get touched on what that night was like. In my section, I had rain through half of my section, water that was there that I didn't plan on being there. Tavo had the same and then some on top of that. And I just feel like it's downplayed too much how much pressure he had to withstand on himself from Bryce and I and the rest of the team, and all the effort that went into those last 385 miles. And then that Luke was putting on him those last 100 miles. It was intense. There was a lot riding on it. And I feel like I didn't even say this at the finish line, because there's so many emotions and you're thankful that you won. But for Tavo to be able to finish that off and bring the truck home and keep a Mason all-wheel drive in one piece after 1,300 miles, which a lot of people say probably can't and shouldn't be done, especially with 3 really fast guys behind the wheel, that's a hell of an achievement.
Yeah. And if some people weren't following along the race, basically what you're talking about, Andy, is at the goat trail, you guys had like a 13-minute gap, right? And then when you got to Ojos, you had like a 2-minute gap, Tavo. Were you surprised when you heard the splits at Ojos after getting splits at the goat trail? Were you surprised that Luke had made up that much time on you? Or were you just, you're just in the mindset and it didn't really matter at that point?
I don't think it didn't really matter. I mean, I was surprised, but just and Andy, I think, touched upon a little bit, but I was not prepared for the amount of water that was in between the goat trail and the finish line. I mean, it was just constant. And I'm not playing it. It was one of those things where you kind of start questioning, when is this ever going to end? Because it was just puddle after puddle and water's in the cab. It's streaks, coming down the inside of my shield. I'm wiping all the time. It was, I don't know, we went through 100 rags. I'm sure that's, Javi could probably have a better amount of what we did, but I mean, and we were being very careful. We had a couple of little issues in the truck. I mean, as we were running, so we were taking care of those as well, making sure that everything lived, to the finish line. So I knew we were okay. I mean, I knew that if I pushed from Ojos to the finish line, we were going to be fine. But it was obviously we were under pressure, but to me, it was, I knew why. I mean, there's all these variables that happened in those last 120 miles that, unfortunately, all this water, we weren't really 100% expecting it to be sitting in the middle of the road for so much, water and time.
Yeah. Yeah. It looked like it was pretty critical looking at the radar and seeing the live footage and everything that was going on. Well done getting it through the torrential mud bog. Bryce, who's on the headset? Who's race engineering? Is it Steve? As you guys are getting down, I'm sure Bryce is there. I don't know if you guys have the chopper there or not, but
the chopper can't talk to them anyways, Cameron, so they would never talk to the chopper, right?
No, I'm saying that Bryce can, if he could see it happening, Luke catching up, like the stress of of like, you got this race developing here at the very end. You know, who's giving him the splits? Who's the calm voice? Is it Steve? Is it Bryce communicating? Is it Andy's dad, Scott? Who is the big toe as they go through Ojos Negros and is on that radio giving the information? Because that's a critical moment in a 1,300-mile race here in the last 1% of the race, the last 30 miles.
Yeah, it was a lot of Willie was kind of like the main contact, the guy that runs my team. And we were in contact with him, but the biggest thing was just like Tavo said, trying to get the truck to the finish, how wet it was. When he got to the finish line, you could see they were physically like shaking from how cold it was. The truck was just hammered in water. I actually jumped in the truck to drive it down the ramp, and I was soaked from just getting in the seat. So
I promise I didn't pee in the seat. So
I was just Tavo taking a tinkle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our game plan. Was we knew we had to get the truck to the finish. We had a couple little issues going on with the alternator, where we couldn't really run the top lights. So it made it pretty tough at night to be able to charge through. But honestly, these guys did a phenomenal job with the little things that we had going on to just be able to get that truck to the finish line.
I mean, I'll provide some more detail just because it's more entertaining for everyone. So we get Bryce, as per usual, is a freaking machine. And he just runs. I've seen video of everyone coming through sections. Bryce is like short shifting, using the torque of the engine. He's like out for another day of pre-running, is what it seems like. Still brings me the truck with a 3, 4, 5 minute lead. I forget exactly what it was. Right before I get in, Willie comes out to me. He goes, "Hey, bud, did you hear? Have you heard?" And my helmet's on. You can actually see it in the Rebel video they released. And I was like, "No." He's like, "So Bryce says little issue with downshifting the transmission on the speed zones on the highway. You kind of got an RPM match." Flashback last year, we had transmission issues about 200 miles into the race, and I'm like, "Here we go! Oh my gosh! Like, damn it!" But I'm like, okay, like he says it's okay in the dirt and everything's okay. And so I take off, get into the dirt. I shift from first gear to second gear, and literally 100 yards into my section, all of a sudden it flings bright blue lights on the Motec, false neutral, zings into neutrals. And then I let off. I'm like, oh my God. And then crack, it slams into second gear. And I was like, oh my God. Like there was just an explosion underneath me in the truck. And I was like, Brady, this is not good, dude. Not good. Like literally right after my section started. We keep going. I start shifting. I'm like, oh, it's better. This must be what he's talking about. Okay, well, let's keep going. About 10 minutes later, I get a flat tire. So I'm like, okay, there was that. I'm cruising, going slow, getting used to the truck, flat tire. I'm like, this is not how I drew up the first 10 miles of my section going. Brady gets out, changes the flat in a minute. We stop at the next highway, rack a tire. So not only are you stopping first to change the tire, you stop to re-rack. We get a new tire. They let me know, hey, Ampudi is closing in. He's only like 3.5 minutes. I thought when I got in, it was like a 10-minute lead, judging by the tracker. I thought I had 10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, it's been 25 miles and I've lost 6 minutes. And with the flat, like, are these guys crazy? It's a 1,300-mile race. Why is everyone driving so hard? So then because I didn't tell everyone at the pit, I'm like, don't give me a split. I don't want to know splits behind me. I don't care what's going on behind me. All I'm trying to do is get the truck from me to Tavo, keep it clean. That's all I care about. They're like, okay, no splits. So then they come in with a split on Pudi at 3.5 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's coming. He's pushing. Mind you, I got in at 4 p.m. I thought I was going to get in after dark. So I started my night section of my pre-run at the beginning of my section, but I had a whole hour and 5 minutes of daylight, which was actually really nice. What isn't nice is that once the sun goes down, the dust hangs, the wind stops. So I had an hour to go before I could count on that dust hanging and the wind stopping. All I was trying to do was get to El Arco, or even the graded road at Vizcaíno after the road crossing, mile 605. First on the road, keep it clean through that gnarly rocky section, get on the big roads out to El Arco. The dust is going to hang. I'm going to be free. I got nothing to worry about. And we get on the big road leaving El Arco, and we come up to some couple tight corners, and all of a sudden we start getting low volt alarms on the Motec. I'm like, that's weird. Maybe it's just the RPMs are low. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. Anytime you get any warnings on your dash, the trucks are so technologically advanced nowadays, typically it's not a good sign. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep going and pretend like that's not happening. It only happens like twice in that section. Then we hit the highway to LA Bay, and I'm like, okay, got that underway. All we have to do is the Catavina loop, hand it off to Tavo. Things are looking good. Get on the highway LA Bay, high volts, 16.9, 17.3. I'm like, uh-oh, Brady. We got a voltage regulator issue. We're losing an alternator. We're going to have to stop up at the pit and change an alternator. So the whole highway section, Brady's on the MSAT with Willie. They're trying to diagnose what's going on. I'm like, my race is over again. Second time, the race is over. Race is over again. We have to change an alternator. It's going to be 30 or 45 minutes. And then we get off the highway into the dirt. Brady's still trying to diagnose. We're getting high volts, low volts. Willie's trying to tell us to do stuff with the lights, try and manage the voltage. And so we come to find out that we can shut off the top light bar and the outer lights in the front, just keep the middle grill lights on, and the volts are staying between 13.2 and 13.7. And I'm like, that's acceptable. So we make the decision, let's just keep running. We're first place, we're first on the road. Let's just keep going. We're here to win. We're not here to finish. We're here to win. I start in the Catavina loop after my pit, which is a desolate 100 miles. No pit support, no one out there to help. You're on your own. And I'm like, all we got to do is get through here cleanly. Well, then the volts start going, they're dropping to 11.8 and then back up to 12.5 and then 13.8 and then back to 11.8. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really not a good situation. But they keep stabilizing. Like it keeps coming back to 13.5, 13.6 as long as we keep shutting lights on and off. And I'm like, let's keep going. Let's just keep going and let's just see what happens. So we put our heads down, got the truck to Tavo. He probably had the hardest part, which is in all those big sand washes, when you're coming around 70, 80, 90 mile an hour corners and you have no upper light bar for distance, which is also some width on the sides for cornering. You're basically, the truck's pointed straight, but you're turning left and you can't see what's coming around that corner. You're like driving by braille, hoping that the corner is still gradually going the way you're going. Anyway, long story short, we made it. We won the race, but it was not without some drama and variables as are most Baja 1000 races.
Great storytelling, Andy. It's super engaging. I love and the fans love hearing behind the scenes of what's really going on. And what's that?
I had to bring a little something to the table.
Bring it. I love it. And while we're talking about lights, I guess we could say that Baja Designs again bringing the heat for the win. I don't know how many consecutive that is for Baja Designs, but that's quite a few of them. Right there. So congratulations to
it actually worked out for me pretty well because coming across El Crucero out of the Bay of LA section, it started to get foggy and rainy. So actually running the top light bar, I don't like running the top lights with dust and fog. I think it reflects the light off the particles too much. So actually for the first little while there, it actually worked out in my favor pretty well. So I think we got pretty lucky.
And you guys had those red lights that were on the front that got everybody's attention, right? You had red lights pointed at the ground, and like people are coming up with all kinds of theories of like they got this active suspension and it's reading the ground and it's changing it off the red light, or it's an infrared light so they can see better at night. And then Baja Designs posted they were just red lights. I think you guys should have gone with some really cool theory, some crazy military thing you guys were testing, and that would have been
I agree. Awesome. We're partnering with Elon with some Starlink and some data stuff and active suspension. I like that fish. We should go with that.
Hey, we might be.
Yeah. You can't talk about it, right?
I was gonna say, who think you're gonna get the truth from on that one if it is the facts, right? At one point, Bryce or maybe Tavo, was there a time when your three dads and you three guys were all in the same place before the race talking about this? I mean, that's kind of the, like, the vision from an outsider, these legendary families, these legendary dads, and that you're all sitting around like a table discussing the plan. Did anything like that ever happen, Bryce?
No, we were all in a different area trying to pre-run. At the start, Tavo and his dad flew down, but my dad was already kind of headed towards the helicopter. But his dad and Tavo were at the start, so which was really cool to talk to them before we got going. But that would have been an awesome moment. But we kind of had just our game plan of our section, so we were really focused on pre-running and putting in the time and work where we needed to.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine the time spent. I saw a lot of some of you guys from a distance in different sections out there pre-running. It's pretty cool what we get to do with the pre-running and be able to spend the time. I know, Andy, you're talking about nothing out there. We call it the never, just so desolate out there by Catavenia. And I really thought that was going to be such a game changer loop for the race. And I think in some cases, I think the RPI car that we were talking to, Cody Reid, just before this, that was where their race came apart. But so many places out there, Andy, to make a mistake, so desolate, no one around to help. And if you're scared of the dark, it's not a good place to be at night, I'll tell you.
So that was a similar loop to what we ran in 2018. It was a loop 1,000, and actually I teamed up with Tavo that year in my Mason two-wheel drive truck. And we were running second, first on time, coming into El Crucero. We went out to the coast a different way, through nasty silt with some super gnarly rocky mountains, before we actually met up with this year's course that was coming in from the south to finish the rest of the loop. And I got 2 flat tires in the first 10 miles of that section with no one, we only run 2 spares. No other help out there. We got passed by 2 trucks, and we had to go 85, 90 miles with no spares and through gnarly rocky mountain cliffs craziness. And that basically took away our chances for the win that year. So this year going into it, I'm like, I have some unfinished business with this Catavina loop that I really want to take care of, and I got to handle. And I agree. My mindset going into that loop was keep it clean, keep it on the road, do not stop, go slow where you got to go slow. You just got to get through this loop and give the truck back to Tavo. This year, they took us south and west before the Catavina Hotel out there into some new stuff that was very technical, very treacherous, very tight, and then some big open sand wash back into super gnarly tight. So when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, we can finish the Catavina section and then just go down on the highway a little bit, and then we're there. And then I go the first pre-run, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that last 15 miles is almost gnarlier than the first 80 of being desolate out of the middle of nowhere. So I was like, hey, when we get it, work is not done.
That long, the long wash zigzag after, I think it was 905, the VCP there, the second part of that wash, we ride our dirt bikes in sometimes. And I was like, I can't believe we're in here in the trucks. I went pre-running down there earlier in the week just to get some data early in the window. I'm like, I'm not coming back here till way later in the time. I got 2 Choyas in me, got stuck, full squirrel in effect. And of course, I was just telling Ryan RCR, giving him crap about getting stuck a couple days before, and then I'm out there digging. So I had to post a picture. I always, if we get stuck, we post a picture because we like to abuse ourselves a little bit. But yeah, kudos to you, Andy, for a run and clean race. All you guys, really. I mean, Tavo, it's like the perfect storm comes together. Now what? Now what do you guys do? You all go race against each other in San Felipe? Or, well, Andy's kind of freelancing, right? What about you, Tavo? You headed out, you going back for another season, racing for a championship. You guys all share the number 1 also here, right? Bryce, you're the number 1. All 3 of you guys score champions. That's pretty cool to see. I don't think
Bryce, are you gonna run the 1, or are you gonna run the 7?
Definitely gonna run the 1. It's hard to get. I have no superstition about it. I always did that in short course. Ran the number 1. So looking forward to it. Last time I won a score championships was 2011. So it's hard to come by, and if you have the chance, I would say run it.
Right on. Now, one other question for you, Bryce. We didn't see any donuts at the hotel afterwards by the helicopter. Did your dad put the kibosh on that and said no more of that, or what happened? Where were the donuts, and how are you going to step that up?
Man, the helicopter was left in San Ignacio and the 4-wheel drive was still working, so it would have been pretty tough. But that one was pretty cool too as well. Made some cool videos and scared the crap out of my dad as well.
Hey, Bryce, that was the single sketchiest thing that I've seen in a long time, because I hang around with McCoy all the time, right? No dirt bikes by the helicopter, no trucks, no nothing. And then here comes a donut. I'm watching on social. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to tag the heli. Oh, I was so nervous for your dad and the heli pilot just watching it happen. But hey, kudos to you, man. You spot on, nailed the donuts. And I know you woed them down probably a little earlier than you probably would have if the helicopter wasn't there. I'm sure there were some big eyes standing around with that one.
Yeah, I knew I needed to do 3 donuts for 3 wins for the Baja 400. So that's kind of why we pulled it out. I knew I was getting closer and closer, but I know how far my truck is and how close it was to it. So we've done quite a bit of donuts in the time and short course and all sorts of stuff. So, but it was risky and everybody was kind of freaked out at the end of it.
I was freaked out and I wasn't even there, and it's not my helicopter. Let's start winding it down. We're hitting our limit. Fish is giving me the sign. So when you see fish go like this, that means that time is up. And so we're going to have to wrap it up. But what an amazing segment to have 3 of the greatest in our sport currently. And Andy, I'm going to ask you for a closing thought before I ask Tavo and Bryce. I would consider you and maybe your cousin Luke to be some of the preeminent historians in the sport. I know your your Uncle Mark is huge in this as well. Where do you feel like you guys fit in with this effort in the legacy of SCORE and off-road racing? 50 years of SCORE, 55 years of Baja 1000s, or 56 years. Where do you guys fit in? I'm interested in, and I like your honest thoughts on this, and don't sugarcoat it. I mean, from where I'm sitting, I'm talking to 3 of the greatest our sport has ever seen. I mean, am I looking at Mark McMillin, Larry Rossler, and Ivan Stewart, all right here, our present day crew?
That's a really good question, and I think it's hard to say. I think Bruce Myers said it in Dust to Glory, and he said if you were making history, if you knew you were making history while you were doing it, you probably would have paid more attention to it. And I think that's fair to say because at the end of the day, we all love racing, we all love Baja, we're all very competitive. And we're just blessed with the Baja gods, and that we had the luck and the preparation to put it together this year to win the race. And for me personally, it was closing my shop at the end of last year and kind of taking a step away from racing again. It was, I didn't set in until someone texted me, a guy I used to work with after the race, and he kind of brought it up, how I closed my shop, and then, to pull this off and come win the race and to put it all together and have a great showing at the 400, which I'm very thankful to Bryce and Steve for allowing me to do that and race their truck. I hadn't won a race in 4.5 years, haven't been on this show talking about winning a race in 4.5 years. And I'm just very thankful and appreciative, and it's very hard, very, very hard to win these races, especially the Baja 1000. And very fortunate, I was doing the math the other day, between Luke and I, and McMillin has won 9 out of the last 18 Baja 1000s overall. So that's a 50% win record since 2006. And that's just really cool. And I'm sure my dad and uncle and grandpa up in heaven and Luke and Dan and everyone's very proud of that and proud of what we've been able to do. Awesome talent out there. Everyone has very similar equipment, very top of the line equipment. This day and age, it comes down to the driver and the team and the preparation and the strategy and the pits. It's pretty amazing to be able to win these races and do it with 2 other top-notch drivers, 2 of the best guys in the sport. It's very cool, and I'm sorry for you, Cameron, for the luck you had. at this 1,000, I was bummed to see you guys pulled over early, as you know, and as Bryce and I know the last 5 years, like that's just the way it goes sometimes.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Very well put overall, Andy. I appreciate your candor and discussion and your reflection on the sport. You're always very, very true to our sport, which we all appreciate very much. Tavo, we talked a lot about legacy and fathers, and we're talking about number of wins. One thing we haven't talked about, I think definitely we should talk about, is this is only the 4th time, I believe, that a Mexican national has put in the fastest time at the end of the Baja 1000. The Vildosolas have done it twice. The Ampudias have done it once. And you're here again, putting it there. It's got to be nice to carry the flag for the United States and for Mexico. I know both in your heart, but it's a pretty huge accomplishment for your fellow countrymen as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice. And like I say, I mean, I always, when I run, like you said, I represent Mexico. I live in the U.S. I love the U.S. And I think that, having that dual citizenship and duality in my life is made, this special. But, I did need, and kind of going back to what Andy's saying and just winning again is nice. It's been a while, it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of, being down there pre-running and taking care of myself and doing the right things. And it feels nice, to be back on top of the podium. I mean, I look at my dad, eight trophy truck legend wins in a row. And it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I want to be, on top of the box as well. And, I'm just thankful that this team was, put together and everyone executed their section perfectly. And, as Andy said, 5th time is a charm is not a saying, but I'm glad this old man was able to come onto the team and kind of bring it home for these two guys for the last 5 years. So, that was great for me as well. And I just look forward to whatever's coming in 2024. I mean, I think that I learned a lot from just talking to these two guys and being teammates with them, and hopefully that'll carry on over into 24.
For sure. And we definitely, huge shout out to your pops. I think one of the finest gentlemen in our sport with huge history, and carries himself as we should all aspire to. Very generous, very kind, very outgoing, a legend in the sport, 100%. Tavo, you mirror him quite well. We're proud to call you friends for sure, and congratulations on your success. We're going to wrap it up with you, Bryce. First Baja 1000 win, but you've been in the sport for quite a while. You've had some great partners and teammates along the way, someone to glean from, whether it's been Rob Mack or Ricky Johnson or Brian Freeman, Andy here, Tavo, even myself. I was a part of the Menzies Motorsports team, winning a Pro Buggy championship, and very thankful to you and your dad for that opportunity. It must be pretty cool to feel that top of the box here at the Baja 1000, but also, can you feel some of what Andy and Tavo are talking about with legacy and writing your name into those history books?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've won a lot of races. I've won short course races, special races like Frozen Rush, one-off stuff, mini Baja 500s, 400s, and like I said, to win this race was something that it took me many days to really sink in and really kind of feel what it feels like to win a Baja 1000. So I just got to thank these two guys for really teaming up with me, Andy for sticking with me for the last 5 years, and then bringing on Tavo and him trusting us to put a plan together, and me to start the race, obviously, because I've been starting every race and it never works out. So kind of start the race, keep the truck together, and to put an amazing plan, and also that's the guys behind me and my team. I want to say there's over 100 people down there helping us with all 3 of our teams. So my hat's off to those guys of perfect pits all day, never having an issue with anything on the truck. So this one, I wish it was longer till the next race just so it could sink in that much more, but we're already tearing the truck down. We're already thinking what's ready for next year and what we're going to do. So it kind of never stops. And that's the same with my dad is, we won the Baja 1000, and I think it was the next day he was wanting to rip the transmission out to figure out what was going on. And we got to call Andrew and all this. And I'm like, let's just enjoy it at least for like a day or two. So I think that's what just keeps us striving is I'm really happy for my dad. He's wanted this for a long time. He's been a huge supporter of mine, and he always has a positive outlook. So to lose 12 and finally win this one was very special for us.
For sure. Well, each one of you guys give your dad a hug for me. I appreciate their positions in our sport. Great people. I did really quickly want to give a shout out. You guys are the winners. A great race by Luke McMillin, Rob MacCachren finishing second. And also a very special shout out to a team that's newer to the sport, finishing on the podium. Mike Walzer, Ray Griffith, and Christopher Pravarti. Initially, I would say that was a kind of a different crew to see get put together for a podium finish, but they did a great job. And congratulations to all of our podium finishers. I would say, there's a lot of great content, information, and personality in this last 45 minutes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was my favorite 45 minutes of Fishgistics we've ever had, with just a great, calm storytelling, one team being able to share their experience, talk about the legacy and the love for our sport. I'm going to wrap it up. Fish, what do you think, buddy? You got anything else you want to throw down?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to talk much. These guys were saying everything we wanted them to say, right? I mean, we just heard the whole story of the Baja 1000. What more do you want, right? That's how you win a Baja 1000 right there.
Consummate professionals. They look the part, act the part, practice the part, and get the part done when it matters. And the checkered flag is all
Also,
yours.
hats off to our 3 co-drivers who, they kicked ass. Orange worked his butt off on really being professional at co-driving, and as well as Brady and Hobby. So my hat's off to those guys of keeping us sane. I don't know how they do it. They're therapists in the truck, and I had to give them a props for what they did for the Baja 1000.
Well, for sure. If there was any truer words spoken than this, I don't think there was. I like the 3 of you, but I like all 3 of your navigators better, I think, than you. Just saying. Sorry. But great job all the way around. Brilliant team effort. Bryce, Menzies, Andy McMillin, Tavo, Vildosola, your champions for the 2003 BFGoodrich Baja 1000. Congratulations, you guys. You've earned it. Suck it up. Enjoy your Christmas. Safe holiday time to each one of you guys. And I want to thank everybody here in Fishgistics land. Share it. Let everybody know about the great conversation these 3 legends just had with us. And Fish, I thank you for the opportunity to be here for one of the classic moments in Fishgistics history.
Thank you for hosting, as always, Cameron. And thanks all you guys for coming on the show. Like I always say, without you guys coming on the show, we wouldn't have a show. So it is, it's 'cause you guys like to come on it, and everyone really appreciates hearing from you guys. Because like you said, at the race, stuff is so chaotic. Someone might walk up to you. The last thing you guys want to do at the finish line is talk to somebody, honestly, right? You just want to go back and get done. So it's cool for them to now come on here and hear the real story of the race. So it definitely makes it fun for everyone to catch up.
Yeah. Thanks for the platform, Fish. We appreciate everything you do, bud. You too, Cameron.
Of course.
Happy holidays, guys.
Yeah, happy holidays. Merry Christmas, everybody. Be safe. Enjoy the families. Hug the kids. And we'll see you next time Fishgistics goes live. I'm figuring sometime in the near future, but maybe not again this year. We'll see you guys in 2024. Have a blessed and happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Be safe and sane. Have a great day.
See you guys.
You guys.